Hello everybody, this is Bill Warburton with Cascadia Junior Cycling. I'm going to walk you through our Intro to Coaching presentation so that we can get everybody up to speed for the season. Thanks for coming along. CJC's purpose. We are for youth and juniors who love to ride their bikes. Our mountain bike camps, clubs, and race teams provide young riders incredible opportunities to improve their skills, build their fitness, and have fun while riding with their peers and mentors. As a coach, we hope you'll find incredible enjoyment from teaching in the outdoors. There's no limit to the positive impact you can have through your coaching. Welcome to the team. We establish and work together towards common goals. Riders are directed by the coaches and the mentors. Individual riders cooperate and learn from each other. We identify, respect, and follow a progression of improving skills and fitness. Each coach contributes to our wider cycling community through your work at CJC and with the other things that you do outside of CJC. So thank you for being a part of this cycling community here in Bend. Cycling can be a proxy for the greater challenges we all face in life, and we celebrate each individual's progress as we overcome challenges as a team. CJC has two main pathways for getting involved. Clubs, which are focused on skills development for all aspects of the mountain biking progression, and teams where riders typically are more committed and they want other opportunities to train, to build fitness, to travel together to events. Then within each of those groups, we have day trips, clinics, summer camps, training camps. One pathway are the clubs, where we focus on skills progressions. It's not competitive, it's very supportive. There's a pretty low barrier to entry. It's very welcoming to new riders, and the main focus is trying new skills, trying new maneuvers. These groups include Cog Kids, Elementary Club, and Cascadia Club. Another pathway are the summer camps. This is where riders attend for typically 4 days consecutively, Monday through Thursday in the mornings, and each week is a progression that focuses on a certain ability or a certain age group. These really help riders progress. The most complex pathway we have are the teams. For 2023, we have Youth All Mountain, XC, Enduro, and Cyclocross teams. Each one for a different age group. Each one serves a slightly different purpose. But teams can get pretty complicated, and the idea here is that as the riders grow and as their progressions expand, we'll do everything we can to support them. So that means training camps, individual training plans, group sessions, bonus rides, day trips to fun places to ride, or anything else that the coaches come up with that they feel is going to support that progression. We can usually find a way to make it happen for the teams. Another pathway is the fitness training. We have a few riders who are remote. They live in Portland, but they follow our fitness training plan, along with the riders here on some of the teams that are interested in building their fitness. So all juniors gain fitness just by riding, but some of them do have specific goals, particularly around competition. Coaches are encouraged to make fitness a fun component of your rides. It doesn't have to be the main focus, but knowing what it takes to build fitness or what the expectations are of any age group or any ability level that you're with, that can really help you understand how to build these things into your ride so that they can either be explicitly known, like, hey, we're going to do a workout together, or they can just be implicit, like, hey, we're going to ride at a certain pace or for a certain distance, so that your group just gets stronger and has more fun out in the woods. At Cascadia Junior Cycling, we have a few ability levels that we should define. Absolute beginners are those with absolutely no experience riding off-road, and they're probably not ready for riding on trails with more experienced riders. If that's the case, we can provide other alternatives rather than pose a safety risk to them or to your group by having them join when they're not ready. We typically suggest that those riders spend a little bit of time riding with their parents or riding with their friends, rather than having a one-on-one coaching session at practice. Another option is to actually set up a one-on-one coaching skills session with a skills coach where we can get them up to speed before they join a group. Typically, when we're talking about beginners, we're talking about riders that have some experience riding off trail and they're excited about doing it. Maybe they're a little timid at first, but they're capable. They like to ride on easier terrain with fewer obstacles, and they really benefit from riding lots of easy miles rather than long skills sessions. Really just acquiring those skills by doing it is the best thing for beginners. Once we get to intermediate, this is the majority of riders that we work with at CJC. These riders have gone through the fundamental skills progressions. They want to explore more terrain. They want to apply their skills to more challenging maneuvers or to more challenging situations on the trail. These riders can really benefit from the longer, more focused skill sessions. A lot of times we'll alternate that. So we'll do one day, one week where it's pretty heavy on skills, and then the next week we'll go for a little bit longer ride. Like I said, this is a majority of riders. However, it is common for parents and riders to overestimate their ability and think that they are more experienced than they actually are. So we typically keep riders in this intermediate group until they've gone through the progression for at least a full season, maybe sometimes multiple seasons, before we can really consider them experienced riders. Experienced riders are those that can apply skills and maneuvers to the diverse trail, and they're very competent physically, emotionally, and mentally. We need to see that they have all of those skill sets coming together before we can really consider them experienced and unlock certain things that we might do with them, like some of the culmination backcountry rides where we're going to really challenge them and put them in a situation where they are going to be pushing their boundaries. That is a situation that we really reserve for the most experienced riders. This is typically a smaller group, and we want to keep them engaged until they're 18, until they age out of the program, so that they feel really competent, capable, and they can take care of themselves and their friends when they're on rides. Let's talk a little bit about coaches' roles. Any coach may fill a different role depending on which group you're with on any day. Knowing your role is important to your success and the success of the team. One role that we refer to as head coach. That's somebody who's organizing all of the groups within that program. They might coordinate the logistics, the transportation. They might help set the groups. They might give some direction to the other coaches. And so a lot of times what you'll just be doing on any day is just being a regular coach, and you'll be working the program to the best of your ability. You might be with yourself, or you might be coaching with another coach. You might be working with the head coach. That's just going to depend on what the needs are for the day. The assistant coach role is a role where you are directly working together with another coach, typically a head coach, for a particular purpose. Like at a jumping clinic, the head coach might be the one giving the lesson and giving the demos, but you could be there assisting with parts of the demo that you're capable of doing, or learning how to do it so that you can teach that clinic in the future. Junior assistant coach is a role for those ages 14 to 18 where they are your responsibility. You as the coach need to direct them just as you would direct your group. They are not in charge of the juniors. We do not have juniors coaching juniors where they are unsupervised. So again, these junior assistants are there to support you, and you can ask them to do things, but they are your responsibility as the adult. Volunteers or special guests are kind of similar. They might not have the training, experience, or ability to take responsibility of your group, and we don't ask that they should do that. We keep the responsibility for the paid staff, but they can be there to share their experiences, to make things really fun, make things engaging, and you can learn a lot by having special guests or certain volunteers along with your group. When coaches come to practice, one of the biggest things is your mindset. Begin with riding bikes is fun. Acknowledge that riding bikes is hard work. This is a lot of work for a lot of these beginner and intermediate riders to show up to practice on time after school. They could already be hungry, they could be tired, they could be dealing with things throughout the day. And so we do want to recognize that they are here to do the work. You are there to assume 100% duty of care for yourself and your riders at all times. Focus is on safety, progression, and education. This is a package that needs to basically work together so that every decision you make has these three components so that you know that you're staying on track. You need to come ready to create an environment of respect, learning, and enjoyment. You need to actively work together with the other coaches and staff to make all these things happen. Please give your full attention to your group and your duties. Contribute your ideas and your positive energy to the team. In addition to the coaching mindset, we have the coaching persona. We're all unique individuals who bring important life lessons to this role as a coach and a mentor. Being able to connect to riders of different ages, genders, abilities, and comfort levels is a skill set that we must constantly challenge ourselves to use and improve upon. Being a leader can mean adapting your persona to fill that role. You are who you are. That's your personality. Please be yourself, but you have to assume the responsibilities of leadership, which is your persona. That includes things like teaching within your ability, communicating when you need clarity or support, Begin the conversation. Think ahead. Be the one to take the action. You really do need to enjoy the responsibility of taking your team on a mission, and it's your leadership that inspires confidence and creates the improvement within your riders. Coaches, the number one thing that you need to do is provide 100% duty of care for you and your group. To break that down, physical safety is number one. Take care of yourself, your group, your riders, and any other humans or animals we encounter. Proximity. Keep your group tight. Keep your group close. Avoid riders being alone and avoid one-on-one situations with riders and adults. Emotional well-being is really important. Every person has to feel like they are emotionally healthy and fulfilled in order for the learning to take place. So support emotional growth just as much as you do the riding skills or the physical components of your teaching. You are their custodian. 100% from when the rider arrives to when you declare that practice is over. You are their guardian, you are in charge, and you must fulfill that role to the best of your ability. At the end of practice, it is required that you actually tell your group practice is over, and that's when you can release them to their parents and relinquish that duty of care. Coaches must clearly set expectations and boundaries for your group daily. You are the leader, and stating these boundaries helps your group be better followers. Start with, I expect, and set them up so that they have a very clear understanding of what you expect and how you're going to achieve it throughout the day. Riders must be able to manage themselves physically and emotionally to be a cohesive member of your group. If that's not possible, you need to make adjustments before you get on the trail. We expect that riders will give an effort to listen well and participate in the activity. Coaches, you need to review, revise, and reiterate your expectations to the entire group as situations change. Exhaust your expectations before choosing any disciplinary action. It is your duty as a coach to evaluate the risk. The best mitigation of risk is good planning, thinking ahead, and maintaining appropriate communication. Allowing or creating high-risk situations is a failure of our process, and the consequences can be significant. Please focus on progression rather than the end result. Performing duty of care and using your training can keep you focused on lower risk activities. Only add appropriate challenges to maintain progression when it's safe to do so. If riders cannot or refuse to meet your expectations for the group, it can become a safety risk. If something feels high risk, it probably is. Therefore, you should stop, reevaluate your plan, communicate your adjustments to everyone, and maintain control of your group. While we're out on the trail, you might be interacting with the public, or when you're at the office, you will definitely be interacting with the parents, and each of them will have their own expectation, view, or idea of our program, and we want to make sure that they're supporters of everything we do. So it's a good reminder to perform your professional duties at all times, to demonstrate your duty of care and leadership, communicate clearly, early, and often to ensure parents and public riders can become supporters of you as a coach of the team and of our individual riders. Resolve mismatched expectations and ask for help from other staff if you need it. The more you can put yourself into that role and extend your coaching persona to the parents and the public, the more we can be part of the cycling community. For coaches, there are plenty of additional trainings that we can do or that we may require. The most important one is first aid. Others include safe sport and concussion training. Please make sure that you're up to date on all of your first aid, concussion, and safe sport trainings annually so that you can provide the best care for your group while we're out in the woods. Now we'll review some ways to think about how to construct your practice or the components of practice so that you can better function as a team on a mission. You are the coach, so whether you're leading or assisting, you are actively directing the individuals toward a collective goal. Let's explore. Do some introductions and plan out your day together. Build your team through some sort of introductory segment, an icebreaker, or a game. Use a mix of on-the-bike assessments and rider feedback to get a full picture of your group for the day. Outline your rules, expectations early on, then add more throughout the ride. You don't need to make a 45-minute presentation up front, but you do need to set those early expectations that they will listen so that you can make those presentations ongoing. Present your idea or ride plan. Make sure your group has bought into the plan. If not, make adjustments and communicate the final plan before you begin riding. Communicate any on-the-fly changes to the ride plan to every rider and coach in your group. One goal is that we try to make stable groups over the course of a program. Riding with peers is the most important factor, and ability is secondary. We try to establish these groups that are with the same coach. And to make a group, you can get started by age, then perhaps by wheel size, and then perhaps by their experience or their ability. But again, riders, especially if they're new, aren't going to be very good at assessing our ability. So you will have to do that assessment of their ability and your entire group and see how it functions before you commit to the trail. Record the names of your riders in your group on your roster before riding so you know exactly who's in there for medical or safety purposes. And then make notes after practice so that you can move individuals around to create stable groups for next time. Make your goals progressive. Riders often overestimate their ability and their experience, so start with the fundamentals and assess their ability for yourself. Practice teaching the fundamentals to all abilities, meaning all ability levels, so that you can always start a lesson at the bottom that works for everyone, then go up from there. Part of this is giving really solid demos. That means that you have to clearly and quickly demonstrate the skill and the maneuver, how you want it to be done correctly, so that they can copy your movements. Use the PMBI pyramid and methods, break maneuvers into skills, practice skills with drills, experiment, etc. If you haven't had your level 1, then talk to us about getting that training. Progression may happen rapidly within minutes, or it may take many weeks. It's going to take experience to know when to move on and when to reintroduce those progressions so that you can keep making progress. Everything we've talked about so far is about creating a positive and a learning environment. Some people are natural teachers, some are natural learners. For others, teaching and learning takes more work. This is true of riders and coaches, so we need to have awareness and respect of this to have success as a team. It's up to the coach to create an environment built around respect. Cultivate curiosity, experimentation, and creativity for inclusion. Demonstrate appropriate behavior for your riders to emulate. Set your expectations. Ask for focus only when needed. We don't want to oversaturate them. Offer reminders of your expectations and consider adjustments to your leadership. Reserve discipline for only when expectations are intentionally disregarded. And then always celebrate individuals' success as a team. Let's look at some of the root causes of disruptions that may come out at practice. Riders can cause disruptions for many reasons. They could be seeking attention or approval. They could have a lack of interest. They could feel socially uncomfortable, or they might be lacking a skill that's required to do the work you're asking them to perform. Here are a few normal behaviors that can cause disruptions for your group. Children are currently building awareness of their emotions and control of their physical bodies. So as they experiment with containing their emotions or moving their bodies, that can create disruptions. They may react negatively to new situations or novel experiences. They may be seeking more attention or constant approval, or they might desire more physical movement. Those can all be disruptive to your group. They're doing work, so emotions can be exaggerated when they're hungry, when they're thirsty, if it's hot, if they're tired. They may have their own opinions and they might not buy into your plan, or they say they're bored. That can be quite disruptive. They might be afraid or insecure, but they don't know how to express it. So how do we resolve some of these disruptions? First of all, we go back to setting clear expectations at the beginning. Those team building introductions can really help. However, once a disruption occurs, we want to immediately refer back to those expectations, perhaps set a new boundary for future behaviors, both for that individual and for the entire group, so that they understand they're being held accountable. Consider making adjustments to your leadership style or your ride plan to better match the ability or the desires or the energy of your group. Sometimes we have a plan and we really want to get something done, and we find that the energy just isn't there that day. And so sometimes staying on a path can be more disruptive than changing your plan to better match your group. Use a 3-strike rule or timeouts to dissipate negative energy for repeat offenses. Work with your fellow coaches to discuss ideas to resolve these disruptions. Then communicate clearly to the group and follow up with parents about anything that stops your group's progress. Just remember that bad behavior is still behavior, so we have to be careful about projecting our bias onto the rider who's causing the disruption. Your role as leader is to establish the path forward. Reposition yourself as the guide. Bring that rider in, recognize their needs, and reset your expectations for a corrected course. These methods may include redirecting them with mental or physical movement through games, drills, challenges, or simply by riding on the trail. A great way to cool everything down is just, hey, we're going to ride up to the next junction. Let's see who can pedal the fastest. Set a coach at the front and let them burn up some energy. Coach to the positive. Use positive reinforcement to keep them on track. Reserve discipline for when expectations are intentionally disregarded. Try brief separations like timeout and bring them back into the group with positive re-engagement. Make your explanations shorter, more clear, more firm. Try not to show your frustration. Settle your thoughts and work with your fellow coaches to diffuse the situation. Go back to your coaching persona. Your clear, confident tone of voice and calm demeanor builds trust and re-engages riders so that they will better follow along with your group. At the end of the day, doing a group debrief and review is really important. For your riders, this discussion really helps reinforce their relationships with you, their relationships with each other, and what they learned for the day. So set aside some time and a nice space with minimal distractions so that you can review with your group things like vocabulary, terms, the skills, the trails you rode, how far you went, how many minutes you pedaled uphill. Riders love those statistics because they can express themselves, they can express those stats to their parents, and they get a sense of accomplishment. Share your highs and lows to make it a learning moment. If there were some distractions or if there were some challenges, you can use Peach and Pit or other guided discussions so that everybody feels heard and it provides closure for the day. Give attention to all riders equally, a lot of times going around a circle or passing something around so that everybody has a chance to speak is really great so that everybody feels heard equally. We always want to end with the positive comments. So if you have constructive criticism, make sure that you sandwich that in between, hey, good job, here's my constructive criticism, and hey, good job. Also, we want to make sure that we're engaging with the parents about both the successes and the challenges so that they understand we control our groups, we respect the riders, and that we will support them as they go through our programs. Thank you so much for reviewing this important information. Before we go ride, next steps may include continue your Cogwild or CJC in-person training. Come along at a practice to shadow with a head coach. Go practice your own teaching, your demo, or your riding skills. Check in with head coach or me about anything else you need to help you feel more prepared before you come to practice. We are very excited to have you, and let's go for a ride.